meet me there. If not, you can always join me later. Sorry, YouTube Nation, I was just messaging my Instagram. So, welcome. And this is live on Body Self Care. And I hope to. So, a bit of a clash of social media here. But I am now going to focus on body self care. So, today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. And it's my favorite not because it's the easiest one, quite the opposite. It's my favorite because it is one of the most difficult areas of self care for myself. But because of that, I've learned so much along my life, and I have also become very passionate about integrating the body care with psychological health and with mental health care. So I hope I can bring some insights for yourself or for people in your life where you can start paying attention to the body in a different way, not in the common sense way, but a little bit more informed of what is actually important and healthy for the body from the psychological point of view. When I did a survey of my audience for people who watch me and write to me, people ask, different things they struggle with. And one of the biggest ones was around maintaining or keeping healthy routines, keeping good routines. And we're going to talk about that at the end because everything else comes down to keeping healthy routines with the body is so important. But I'm going to talk a little bit about why sometimes it's so difficult for us to keep healthy routines. But before that, I want to talk about the general physical needs, right? When we're talking about body self-care, of course, we're talking about physical needs. So we have a need for rest that some people are also saying that it's very difficult for them to rest enough because life is busy, we have many demands, we have constant stimulation from technology, and we work long hours, we may not have much community or family support around us. So life is set up in a way, our modern life is set up in a way that is not helping us to rest. And that's why it's so important for us to make a conscious and an intention to rest, to know that that is not optional. That is a really important part of our healthcare, of our body self-care. And I struggle with that too. I was even talking this morning about how difficult it is to, when I'm in the house, I'm always doing something and, tidying up, cleaning up, cooking, taking care of things in the house. And I'm not resting in my own house. So sometimes I have to force myself into another location. I've got to book time to meet a friend or to go to the beach or to do something because I really need that rest. But if I stay here, I'm in the autopilot. So rest is very, very important, and it's so hard to do nowadays. Another part that people are really struggling with is the food and healthy eating. Again, because of our modern lifestyle, it's so difficult to have the time and the disposition to do that, right? It's hard because we have convenience foods, we have easy takeaways, people just pressing a button on the phone and the food comes and it is delivered to you. And of course, that's sometimes not the best option for your body or for what you need at that time. So healthy eating is very challenging too, but of course, it's part of body self-care. So I encourage you to find your own healthy eating habits or what your body needs or what is important for you and really invest the time in that because that's the only way you're going to get, um, the best nutrition and the best energy for yourself, clearly, right? But it's hard. It's very hard to do nowadays. Another aspect that our life is really not helping, right? Our lifestyle is not really helping us is with the sleep because we have, of course, technology and electricity and we can stay awake really late. And it's very difficult to get enough of good quality sleep. Also because a lot of us are running on adrenaline, we are living through high stress levels. And sleep requires that lower of cortisol, the lowering of cortisol in the evening to relax and have good quality sleep. So if our cortisol, if our stress levels are really high, our sleep is going to be affected. And it's usually the first thing that's affected when people are very stressed is the sleep. So I'm just mentioning all these different areas of body self-care. I'm not getting too much in detail with them because they all require probably a whole lesson just about each one of them in terms of how our relationship with our body can be improved in each one of these areas. The next one is exercise and movement. So, of course, we live in a very sedentary lifestyle. We live most of us, right? A lot of us are sitting for long hours. We are indoors for long hours too. And this is not what our bodies are designed to do. Our bodies are designed to be moving, carrying heavy weight, bending, kneeling, doing all these other things. And if we don't do those things, because that's what our body was designed to do, to survive in the wild back in the day, we are not giving our body what it needs to function well. So being a lot of time sitting down, a lot of time indoors is against our nature, is against what our body needs. So because we are having to counterbalance the effect of modern life, we may need to make time for exercise, to actually go outside ideally, or exercise indoors. But you've got to encourage yourself and make the commitment to yourself, because our life is not set up to be moving and carrying a lot of heavy weights normally. But we need that to keep our strength, to keep our flexibility, to keep our body functioning well. So that's another very important aspect. Something very, very crucial about body self-care and learning to love and care for the body is to really address the need to de-stress and increase the need, or increase experiences of pleasure. This is something that a lot of people who come to therapy find very difficult in the beginning, to understand that I am prescribing them to have fun, to relax, to take time off during the weekend, to take holidays, to slow down every day for more pleasure, for things that make your body and your soul happy. And this is actually a healthcare measure. This is not something optional. This is something that really helps us to manage our stress levels. And we know that stress levels are really connected to our immune system, to various functions of our body, especially the immune system. So we want our stress levels to be manageable. We can deal with the stress, and sometimes the stress is actually important to increase our strength, to increase our resilience. So I'm not saying stress-free life. That does not exist. That's unrealistic. And this is something that with body self-care keeps coming up in a lot of messages in the culture we live in, that is really unrealistic ideas and unrealistic expectations around body care. And one of them is to live stress-free. This is not realistic. And we thrive on stress. Stress is good for us, but it has to be managed. It cannot be non-stop. It cannot be chronic stress. That is not a healthy way to live. That puts pressure on the immune system, on the nervous system, and it really will eventually cause, it could be connected to physical illness, never mind mental health illnesses, right? Because of course, stress is very connected to anxiety, depression, and other different mental health illnesses. So we need to increase our pleasure. That's my strategy. My strategy is, how can I create a lifestyle that allows for stress to be there, because my life is very stressful. And how can I manage? How can I increase my resilience, my strength, my emotional capacity to deal with the stress and to deal with challenges? My recipe that I found is to increase the self-care in terms of pleasure, as well as some other parts of self-care. But today we're talking about body, and pleasure is one of the best antidotes for stress, clearly, right? So anything that gives you pleasure, and of course that includes sexual pleasure, that includes sensual pleasure of the different textures, different foods, different experiences you can have, And pleasure in relationships, pleasure of watching something funny. Any sort of pleasure is a medicine for you, for us. So I encourage you to increase that. That is not optional, that is a medicine, and that's so powerful. So if you learn to take care of yourself and say, how can I make myself feel more relaxed or enjoy my day or have something that gives me that joy or that happiness today, that is actually the antidote for stress. That's the antidote for the damage that the toxin is in the environment, and the toxin is in the not just the physical environment but the psychological environment keep coming in. But you can use the measures that we're talking about here to counterbalance that effect. So, I would like to talk a little bit more about routines and why they're so important for the body self care and what is behind our difficulties with keeping healthy routines, right? What is it that it makes it difficult to keep the healthy routines? So, first of all, routines are so essential for body self-care. Our body loves routines. Why? Because occasionally, and that could be quite often, if depending on what's happening in your life, stress is going to come in. Unpredictable things are going to happen, right? They're unpredictable. You're going to miss the bus, you're going to have a distressing situation with your family, your work is going to go pear-shaped. I don't know, things are going to happen every day. They do, don't they? We are lucky if there is a day there is no unpredictable stress coming in. Sometimes we have those perfect days, but most times something is going to come in, right? And why are routines so important? Because routines are the parts of your day or parts of your self-care that you can control. So the time you wake up, how you take care of yourself in the morning, if you have your breakfast, or how you exercise, how you de-stress in the evening. Those important parts of routines, they are going to hold you. Your nervous system knows that if you have good routines, no matter what comes during the day, eventually you're going to have your dinner and you're going to go to bed at a certain time. But if you have a chaotic lifestyle, and for some of us, because of work demands or because of family demands, routines are difficult to keep, right? But we can only try our best. We can go towards a healthy routine, because when we have these routines established in our lives, and they can be adaptable and they need to be adaptable, okay? It's not like a fixed routine forever and you're living almost like in an army type of situation. It's not like that. But the healthy routines that keep repeating themselves sends a message to your nervous system that your life is manageable, your life is under control. So things come in, but you know that you're gonna, like I said, have your meal, have your bedtime at that reasonable time every day. So those messages, they are counterbalancing the stress, they're counterbalancing the chaos, because we are constantly living in this security, predictability, and chaos in our lives, right? We have certain elements of our lives we can control, or we can feel that we are controlling, or we feel that things are going how we want. And then there's a huge amount of events and situations that we don't control. So if you work on those routines, if you work on keeping your body knowing kind of what's going to happen, and that's what we sort of recommend moms and to do with toddlers and babies, because they need routines, don't they? They need to learn the safety in the world is there. So routines are going to give that message to the nervous system that everything is okay. So that's why when we have a chaotic routine and then we have the additional stress or additional chaos that comes with it, it can really destabilize us. So that's why routines are so important. But why is it so difficult? So we all need to reflect if we are struggling with keeping routines or keeping a healthy routine. Why is it so difficult? Is it because you have unrealistic expectations? You expect yourself to do, I don't know, exercise every single day, and that's not realistic for you? Or do you expect to eat a certain time every single day, and that's also not realistic? So the difficulty with routines could be to do with unrealistic expectations. It could also be more deep rooted childhood experiences that you didn't have predictable routines. Or you had, but you didn't like that. Because we can also rebel against what we learned as children if that feels wrong and feels like we are not having freedom. And that's a big one for routines. I will share at some point another session on how I got around routines and how was why it's so important for me and how it benefited me. But anyway, for the purpose of this today, have a moment of reflection or think about yourself and why for you routines are so challenging. Is it because it's boring? You feel like you're not feeling like you're spontaneous and creative or you have freedom? Or is it something else? Right? We need to really analyze the reasons. It's not something I have the answer. Only you will know why. What is the reason that routines are difficult for you? And then you can work with that. But I would also like to talk about something, but no, I would also like to talk about something very, very important that some people mentioned when I asked them um, how we feel about our bodies. Our feelings and attitudes towards our bodies are also a very, very important factor for our health. So, this is something that I don't hear many people talking about. Maybe there are, but I haven't heard. But actually, having a loving and curious and kind attitude towards our bodies is very, very important because that is going to help us to make sustainable change to the future. Our psychological system does not like control. Okay, we have a safety mechanism that rebels against control and against punishment. So sometimes in our culture there is this sort of bullying attitude towards the body. I'm going to make myself wake up at 5 in the morning. I'm going to make myself only eat certain foods. I'm going to make myself um, do this huge amount of exercise or whatever it is. And it's the attitude of saying, I'm going to make it, I'm going to force it, I'm going to make it happen. Otherwise, I am not, you know, a great person or I'm not good. Or and then it can come into another level of psychological abuse of saying that, you're useless, or I'm not going to name things here. But again, bad things about yourself, okay? Self-harm, emotional self-harm. So this is very tricky in our culture because there is, as I said, our body and our psychological health thrives in a bit of challenge, a bit of pushing forward. We want that, we need that, but it cannot be a punishing voice inside of our heads because that is really not going to lead to sustainable change. We're going to rebel against and say, no, I don't like this. So this voice, this loving, caring, and encouraging voice, like you can do it. Yeah. This encouraging voice, this strong voice and firm voice, but loving can really help us to make sustainable changes in our body self care. So, how we feel about our body and what we say about our bodies is also very, very crucial part of body self care. So if you want to know more about any of the things that I touched on here, let me know in the comments and I can prepare another live focusing on the topics that people are bringing up. As I said, I love this subject. I am very passionate about our relationship with our bodies and our communication with our bodies and learning to love and respect and be happy in our bodies. That's so essential. So if you would have any ideas or anything you are struggling with and you want to talk here, I will be very happy to hear and very happy to create another session about that. So for today, this is what I had to share. And I look forward to the next week with more self-care lessons. Thank you, everybody.